Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, it's that time of the year again, isn't it? Telford approaches fast, a couple of days away in fact, as I sit here talking to you. So yeah, I just wanted to confirm and do a quick update, November update if you like, to let you know that yes, I'll be there, I will be back, and also give you a quick couple of ideas of maybe a couple of highlights. I'm not going to go through all the stands and all the exhibitors, but one or two that are different to last year I want to highlight, and just have a general chat about it really. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I did consider, I know lots of other YouTubers make a whole thing out of this and they make weeks and weeks of content out of it, and I was I didn't really go down that route last year. I was a bit busy because I was on with ICM quite a lot of the time, on both days actually. But I'm not probably going, well obviously ICM not there this year after their recent struggles, you know, but nobody can blame them for it at all. But their products will of course be present on Hobbyco's stand in hall number 1, which is the third hall actually after you go in, because it's all back to front. But the same hall as Airfix, but the opposite end, the top end. So I won't be sort of anchored in a spot like that. There was a bit of a meet and greet in a way last year. People would come to the ICM, come to talk to me, kind of at the same time, kill two birds with one stone, you know. So I have to say I spent a lot of time doing that, and I did lose out a bit, I felt, what with that and what with filming some bits. So I kind of lost out from seeing a lot of stuff actually, and I really regretted that afterwards. And this is what can happen, unfortunately. You know, you can spend a lot of time chatting to people, which is great. Please don't be put off from chatting to me at all. Please don't get the wrong idea. But I'm not going to have this formal sort of me, almost as if I've got a stand, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. But if you see me walking around, please say hello. Please introduce yourselves. I mentioned this in the chat the other night on one of my shows, that people come up and say, hello, Peter. And I don't know, they all feel they know me, but I don't know who you are. So if you don't tell me who you are, tell me what your screen name is if you're on YouTube, if you're a commenter or people in the live chat. It's really important that you say, I'm such and such, you know. I'm Lord Flashheart. We'll talk about him in a minute. Well, he won't be there because he's in Australia, but you know what I mean. My YouTube name is, you know, Khan or whatever it happens to be. But this year I'm going to try and focus more. I felt that it was... I didn't get to see as much as I'd like. I didn't get to see as much things like the competition area and a lot of the SIGs and the club, and I really want to see more of that this year. So I'm determined to try and do a little bit less talking, a little bit more looking, and maybe more photographs as well. Because I'd like to do, one thing I would like to do afterwards is have a bit of a montage. And now I could go around interviewing people and all that kind of thing. I don't really enjoy that, and it takes up other people's time a lot as well. You know, I mean, you know, there's the guys at Airfix, and I'm sure if I asked Dale, people like that, I'm sure they'd jump at the chance and agree, but it feels a bit unfair to just take up their whole time, just constantly, and it's all, you know, you've got 5 YouTubers with almost a very similar interview. I don't see the point of it really, so I'm not going to do any of that. So, I will be going around, excuse me, quick swig of coffee, I'll be going around with my cameras, and I will be taking maybe a little bit of video, a little bit of footage here and there, certainly lots of photos. But I'm going to try and focus on the models a bit more this year and try and get more out of it. However, first day, priorities is to see the traders really. And I know a lot of people, I know from, there was a couple of people last year who made comment afterwards, who are traders, who made comment about the difficulties they'd had. First of all, to be a trader there, it's not cheap. You know, I'm not going to make any criticisms here or anything, I'm not going to get into it in too much detail, but it's quite a challenge for these traders. They have a lot of work to do, they've got a lot of overhead, and then they go there and people expect them to be cheaper than anywhere else, which is, yeah, there will be elements of that because they don't have postage. But I just say to people generally, just give the traders a bit of a break. And people probably say, you were criticising some of them last week. Yeah, but I was only criticising the packaging. If you're going to go and walk up to any of those companies I moaned about and they've got a nice kit on the stand, don't hesitate to buy them. I've got nothing against any of those people at all. I just don't think that they're doing a very good job in some areas. One or two of them are not doing such a good job on the packaging, on the mail order side. But if they're there and they've got kits and the good price is good, well, fill your boots. You know, don't let me put you off any of those guys. And traders generally, I think, you know, they need a bit of a break at the moment. It's not very easy to have a business at the moment. It's getting harder and harder, I think. under the current government we've got in the UK. Don't want to get into any politics, but it isn't easy. It's never been more difficult, I think, than it is today. So just give them a break, and if they're, £1 or £3 dearer than the one you saw an hour ago and you can't remember who it is. I've been in this situation, I'm thinking, oh, you're £3 dearer, but it's still way cheaper than I'd probably pay online because of the postage. Go on then, just give them a bit of a break. I'm going to buy some stuff off them. That doesn't mean I'm going to be buying a huge amount because I've actually got some items that were in my Ukraine charity auction, which a couple of you, who you know who you are, I've got to deliver those to you. So those are, you might have seen me with bags and bags of stuff. It doesn't mean I've been spending. I'm actually like Santa delivering, not taking away. Anyway, there we go. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of the traders who are there. My favourites, my perennial favourites include the Hobbyco stand, because they have things like Tamiya on there, so I'm bound to be looking at that. Airfix, of course, the home team. And then last year we had ICM, which I'm very obviously close to in some respects. And that was a great experience. It's a shame they can't be there this year, but maybe next year, But this year, on the other side of the coin, we've got a couple of traders who haven't been there for a couple of years at least. And they are Zukimura, who I'm delighted to see back. I was really disappointed they weren't there. It feels like Telford is something is missing at Telford if Zukimura aren't there, with the gentleman who runs the organisation. He's so respectful, and it's nice to have that Japanese flavour. Something different is brought into the event. It just adds a bit of colour, I think, and a bit of culture. Quite enjoyable to see them there. Now, bear in mind that even if you've not got Zukimura kits, or perhaps some of their subject matter, if it doesn't appeal to you, do have a look on their stand, because they have lots of interesting stuff. Other things, they have lots of aftermarket items like figures and things like gun barrels and all sorts of stuff that may apply to other kits as well. So don't go thinking they're just selling kits. They sell quite a lot of items, and they're definitely worth a look at. Always entertaining, always interesting the way they lay the stand out. I am delighted to see them return. I think it was, they were, it wasn't quite the same show without them last year. And also, the other one that's back this year is Qatar. Qatar and Richard Alexander and his team, I think, are going to be there. Which is, I'll tell you where they are. If you bear with me, I'll give you the lowdown. Actually, I'm not going to go into showing it all because it's too, we don't want to be zooming in and out. But let's have a quick look then. So, I have got the floor plans here. And did have them actually out in front of me. There they are. So I think Qatar are in. I think they're in Hall 2. Let's just have a check on this. Zoom it in a bit. Pum pum pum. Greasy Falcon, Affinity 0. They are indeed. They're in Hall 2. Qatar are in Hall 2. And I think Zukimura are as well. So there you go. So that's the middle hall. So Qatar are kind of facing toward the bottom of Hall 2, not far from the exit through to Hall 1, which is where Airfix and Co are. So if you are heading into Hall 1, Airfix on your right and at the extreme right, Hobbyco at the extreme left, Qatar are just behind you to your right, so to reverse back a bit. And then Zukimura are in an absolutely spot on position. Although I'm a bit worried about the crowds gathering around this, because you might not be able to get through the halls, because they're right opposite the entrance between Hall 3, the one you go in, and Hall 2. So they're right at the entrance. So I've got visions of it being a bit of a scrum as you walk in there. So that's going to be very interesting. Qatar, of course, have got their... I did have a link to it, I think, somewhere. Where's it gone? Let me just find it for you. I'm pretty sure I had a link. There it is. The Qatar, the Hurricane. They've announced recently they're doing this Mark 1 Battle of Britain Hurricane, the Mark 1 Early, which I think is going to have the, I think it has the option of the fabric wings or the metal wings, I think. And that's all on pre-order now. Now you'll be able to pre-order it with them and talk to them. It's saying $109. This will be very interesting though, because obviously Qatar have had this Halifax announcement, which is it's come as a bit of a surprise. Sorry, I'm just looking down the list here. So under news, is it under news? News. Here we go. Message from the proprietor. Bum bum bum. Okay. Not quite getting the news I was expecting there. Okay, they seem to be pushing their Messerschmitt 109 and the new the PR Spitfire limited edition is out for pre-order. That's the PR, the Mark 1 Spitfire PR Type A, the very early first reconnaissance Spitfire. And then we've got the Halifax, as I mentioned, which is I find it a bit strange it's the Mark 2, but anyway, I'm sure that this will all get explained. I might have a chat with them, and whether I put it on film or not is another matter, but I don't like to put people on the spot on film. I think it's a bit unfair sometimes. It's quite a pressure for them to be on television all day, you know. It's not on really, but I think sometimes it's nicer to have the chat with them and then just give you the headlines. But it was a bit strange. I know that people wide and far, including me, have commented about it. This is the one where you've got to pay up front and they haven't actually developed the kit yet, which I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. But anyway, I might have a chat with them about that, see how we get, see what the thinking is, and if we can get any more sort of feedback. And then we've got the lovely Hurricane, which I am sure to get at some point, sure to get. Now, speaking of Hurricanes, change the subject slightly. Armour Hobby have just come out with their Battle of Britain Hurricane. So this is the Mark 1 late version, I think it is, 48 scale. And they've also got this option where you can have, I think they've got this resin option. I think if you pre-order it directly with them, I think they have this resin exhausts and the pilot seat as well with the belts on it and all that stuff. Anyway, I've ordered mine. I've got to be honest, I've gone to Tiger Hobbies, supporting, you know, the traders here. I'm never very comfortable, if I'm honest, with going direct. I do it sometimes if I think it's something, if there's a reason, you know. However, I think that this will only add. I mean, I had my Qatari. Maybe I should just mention this. Actually, I might have to mention this to Qatari. We had one of my subscribers, Stuart. He had one of the kits. It was the 109, in fact, the K4, the nice kit from Qatari. But that came in packaging which was, considering it's come from New Zealand, I don't think it was entirely adequate. Wasn't quite as bad as some of those people I've moaned about the other week, but it wasn't really quite as robust as I would have liked. So I might mention to them that they might need to just up their packaging game slightly, because it wasn't damaged, but the outer box did have some evidence. I was worried, let's put it that way, when I was opening it, because there was some very minor outer damage. So it's something I'll talk to them about. I just think that generally some of these companies, you know, if you chase the lowest price, you'll get the lowest packaging. It's as simple as that, I'm afraid. And I think we need to get the message through. By the way, the feedback on my video has been very interesting, because I've had several people, and again, I don't want to get into individual companies, but several people have said that one of the companies that's very popular in the UK, I've had no problems at all, I've had no problems at all. I must have just been lucky then. Yeah, well, I think you have been lucky, because the number of people that came back saying, yeah, I've just had one delivered today and it's all bashed, certainly outweighed by about 4 or 5 to 1 the positive comments, I've got to be honest. So I think I was fair to make those comments, and I think that, you know, it's been borne out by the feedback from other models. Anyway, let's hope that I'm sure that can be easily fixed and taken on board by these companies. But as long as we defend what is, you know, you look at packaging, you think, how has that survived? You only have to look at the way some of the postmen treat it. I'm not having to go at my own particularly, but you know, they go through a sorting office, they go through automated picking and all sorts, and it's got to be adequate, hasn't it? Anyway, I'm going off on that rant again. So back to Telford. So Qatari, yes, it's great to see them back though. It's not easy or cheap for these guys to come here. It must cost an absolute fortune for them, and it's a big time commitment. And they're in a time zone where for them it's the middle of the night, and they're working in the middle of the night. It's not easy for these guys. So I think we should again cut them a bit of slack. I want to ask them about this Halifax and try and perhaps if we can see to understand exactly what the philosophy is there, because I'm still a bit uncomfortable with handing over cash at that magnitude for something that's not actually been had a test shot or actually developed yet. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, but there we go. It may well work for them, and I think, you know, maybe if we eyeball them and have a chat about it, not just me but you guys as well. Be nice to have a talk with them about it, won't it? So that's that. I say I'm not going to go through all of the traders. A lot of them are there, as I say. It's very expensive for them to set up. We have got, obviously, Airfix are there. We've had a bit of a mixed year, haven't they, really? Some really good and some not so good stuff coming out. Obviously, the not so good being the Stalwart, which has some quality issues, quite a lot of. But also some nice stuff like the Jaguar, they've just announced their new Mark 9 E Spitfire has come out. And of course, before I was saying, another bloody Spitfire, what? Now I'm like, it's almost like I've joined them, I've become a Spitfire evangelist after my recent ride and flight where I took control and flew the greatest warplane of all time. Anyway, so they're there. Obviously, we've got the Hobbyco there. They'll be showing off hopefully showing off all the ICM kits, including the new Hamden, which is going to be due in just about 4 weeks' time in the UK. In my sweaty gloved hand, very shortly. And then, of course, they've got the new Tomcat as well from Tamiya, the 72nd scale Tomcat D coming out. So that's lots of things to see. And then you've got all your usual traders, the bookshop guys, people like Bachman, and lots of smaller traders, of course. And as I say, they do need our support. Some of these traders. It's not easy being a model shop, whether it's online or physical model shop. And you've got some guys here like Free Models and many others who are going to be there. Not easy, not an easy task. So, please don't seek out the absolute cheapest price for a kit. If it's one of those bigger companies, they can afford to make it cheaper. Try and support the smaller guys if you can. Somebody's just £1 or £2 dearer. Give them a break. Give them a break. And don't forget your poppy. Talking about giving. Don't forget your poppy. Remembrance weekend, especially if you're going on Sunday. I'll be judging you if you come up and talk to me and there's no poppy. I'll be getting very cross and give you a lecture about it. And yeah, after my recent videos about World War One, more to come on that, by the way. Model U are there, I noticed. Now, Model U are an interesting company. I should give them a quick mention. These are the guys that will 3D scan almost anything, including you. And they'll make a model for you. They can do bespoke work and all sorts of things. So Model U do lots of figures, some very interesting stuff. They do it for railways, they do it for model kits and aircraft and all sorts. Definitely worth a visit. They're based in Bristol. I'm looking down. Anderson Entertainment. Anderson Entertainment? Is that as in Jerry Anderson? I don't know. Anyway, okay. So, a lot of the usual people there. All the SIGs and groups down the middle as usual. Hannets are there, of course. Jadlam are there, all the usual suspects. And they're all in Hall 1, which is... Hall 3. Sorry, slightly misleading then. Hall 3, the first... Sorry, no, I'm wrong. It's Hall 2. It must be, because it's just the way it shows it. It says slightly misleading. I'm looking at the arrows. They're in the middle hall. So you've got a lot of the biggest retailers in Hall 2 in the middle hall, including Wonderland, another one we talked about. Yeah, so they're all those massive retailers are all in Hall 2, it seems. And then perhaps some of the smaller ones are in the others. As usual, over in Hall 3, which is the first hall you go into. I don't know why they have it set up like this. I think it's so that they can queue people indoors rather than have you stood in the car park. So I mustn't complain, really. It does make a certain level of sense. So Hall 1, as I mentioned, is the one with Airfix. The bookshops, e-models are there. Tiger Hobbies are there, I mentioned. I buy from them. Gary from Tiger Hobbies will be hoping to do good business. I know that he was one of many retailers last year that had some real problems when they had trouble with the Wi-Fi. They couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work for the payment system, and this was right across. All sorts of other retailers are having exactly the same issue. So I hope that's resolved for them all. Anyway, so yes, quite a lot to look at. You've got Squires. They do all the tools and things. So Hall 1, the last hall, is actually set up in the usual way, I would say. Very similar to its normal setup. And then Hall 2 is the one that's got the manufacturers like Zukimura and Qatar and the big retailers. They're all in Hall 2. And of course, Hall 1, pretty traditionally, Hall 3, the first one. It's so confusing, isn't it? The first one you go into, as you enter, that's going to have Kinetic, Kinetic are there, and of course we've got Help for Heroes. Models for Heroes. I beg your pardon. Models for Heroes are there. Large Scale Model Association. There's a big Battle of Britain display because it was the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Britain this year. In fact, I did have on me, still got it, I did have my Battle of Britain pin somewhere. Is that it? Yes! My 85 years of the Battle of Britain, there you go. Which I was actually wearing this when I was flying the Spitfire, which I thought was really appropriate. So this has been up in a Spitfire and has actually done aerobatics in a Spitfire. This pin, the real deal, Battle of Britain, 85 years. So they're having a display right as you walk in. Basically, you walk in and turn right. They'll be right in front of you, not far from where you've got all the some of the catering. Also, you've got the Great War Aviation Society. Bearing in mind my recent talk about the Great War, some amazing accounts from my own grandfather about the Royal Flying Corps and their battles on the Western Front. One-man army are there. Hong Kong models are there. All on the left as you go in. Halfway up. And then you've got a lot of these interesting, very interesting SIG groups. You've got the Airbrush Company, you know. It's kind of laid out fairly standard, but I say at least this year we've got big headlines from these. Qatar are there, Zukimura are there, two of the best manufacturers in the world, really, certainly up there. And they were missing last year, and it felt a bit weird without them. So there we go. So that's Telford. I'm going to be wandering around. I'm probably going to meet up with my buddy Jason at some point around lunchtime, have a coffee or a sandwich or something. And to update you, a few of the things that are going to be happening over the next few weeks. There'll be more World War One stuff, but that's probably going to be on the other channel, I think. Peter Goes Rogue. I think we're going to get back to models here. And I have an interesting model here from Hasegawa. It's not new. It's been sent to me all the way from Australia from our good friend Lord Flashheart. Our good Australian friend who's just in North Sydney. And he has sent me this for me to review. And it's the Nakajima. It's the JIL carrier attack bomber, the Tenzan as the Japanese called it, Type 12 night torpedo attacks over Okinawa. Okay, so this is late war stuff then. Okay, just the fact it's over Okinawa tells you that. Japanese Navy attacks. So we're going to do a proper review on that. And then some of you will be saying, you promised us by Halloween you were going to... I've got my Halloween shirt on, Day of the Dead shirt on. I'm not actually filming on Halloween, it's actually just passed, but I did promise I was going to show a bit more progress on the Mosquito. I have been a bit waylaid, unfortunately. Well, obviously we had this news from ICN, well, the bad news, but that distracted me. And then I've had the World War One stuff to do, so I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I have got my Mosquito, and I have actually done some modelling. I've actually glued some parts together. Still fiddling around getting my cockpit just right. I'll just give you a little bit of an idea where we're at. So this is basically I'm on this seatbelt mission, which is proving to be a bit of a challenge to get it right. So this is the navigator's seat, Alan Broadley's seat. And if I just put that on there, you can see I've actually got almost. Not quite ready to glue it all finally. Oops, I've got the top belts on. I've just got to put the lap belts on, and we're getting there. I've got the belts, and the seat is now all painted and finished. The belts are going in situ. I'm going to have that done very, very short order. Once I've finished, obviously Telford is going to distract me a little bit. There's always something that seems to just get in the way. However, once Telford's finished, we are going to be through with excuses. We'll be out of excuses. Here's Percy Pickard in his seat. A little bit of finishing to go on these figures. Obviously we've just got a little bit more final tones and also putting their goggles on. And then we've got, as you may have seen before, it's kind of similar, which is whoops, not the best way of showing it, but this is Alan Broadley climbing up the ladder. To his doom, sadly, as it was in the Amiens raid, I'm afraid. He needs his goggles on as well, of course. You can see he's got his sergeant stripes now, which weren't on before. So yeah, we're getting there, you know. I think slowly catchy monkey. I know, I can almost see Chris Jones will be shouting at the screen and saying, slowly, slowly. You started this model when Julius Caesar was still in charge of Rome! Feels like it, doesn't it? But we are in modelling season now, and I'm going to have a proper go at it, and we're going to make some progress. Got my G radar set there, for those of you that haven't seen it. This is the direction finding radar, G, as it's known. So we've got that to go in the cockpit. It's quite nice, isn't it? So yeah, I just need a bit more time, really. Stop talking about sports cars and World War One and Spitfire flights, and yeah, I have had a lot of distractions, I think you'll appreciate. So I haven't quite got into full modelling season yet, but as soon as Telford's out the way I see things coming up in the next couple of weeks, there'll be a couple of Telford videos probably. That's it. I'm not going to go crazy over it. As I say, I really want to sort of walk around, and it can be a bit of a frenzy, I find, at Telford. It's almost a pity that I can't get an hour. I know we get, as IPMS members, which I am, we do get an hour before the main public come in, but that hour just goes in 5 minutes, if you know what I mean. Before you know it, the public's swarming and it just gets really busy. So what I might do this time, I think I might actually go see traders first, and then perhaps come back and see the SIGs and groups after, and try and work my way around like that. Anyway, I hope to see some of you there. I say I'm not having a formal meet and greet, but please do not be a stranger. Come and say hello, tell me who you are, and it'd be nice to say hello, shake hands, and any comments you've got, any thoughts about the channel. The channel's been struggling a bit lately, and the things have started to improve because I've actually started to see some changes in this problematic YouTube algorithm that we've talked about before, which definitely went off the rails in August, September, and started doing the most bizarre things, offering me my own videos to watch. Why would I want to see that? I've got access to that anytime I want. It's bizarre. And offering me other videos from other channels I follow from 9 years ago. It's just doing some really strange things. And repeatedly offering me stuff I've seen again and again and again. And it's like, why are you not offering me the new stuff? People are, creators are producing new stuff every minute of the day. And it's offering me 9-year-old stuff I've seen 9 to 10 times. And it just makes no sense. But it has improved slightly. That seems to have toned down in the last couple of weeks. Excuse me. I've definitely noticed an improvement. I still think it's not as good as it was at the start of the year. I'm still getting the odd weird thing offered to me. I got offered this young girl camping in a pod on top of her car. It was great, actually. It was quite amusing and interesting. Very strange, but I don't know why it was offered to me. It's not the sort of thing I normally look at. It's just completely off the wall. It's like the algorithm is misfiring and coming up with all sorts of weird stuff. There was another thing that there was some politics came up. And I won't go into politics at all, but it came up with something completely opposite, a completely opposite sort of take of the sort of thing I would normally look at. And again, it's like, why have you chosen this stuff? I'm not going to start watching this channel. It's not anything I've ever expressed interest in before. It's really odd. And I find it a little bit frustrating, and it's really not helped the channel. This went wrong, actually, just about the time I was launching my new channel, and the two things are not connected, because I've been getting all this on my existing channel, all these problems. And it's just bad coincidence, really. If I'd have hung on or launched it earlier, it would have been better, actually. But I do need more subscribers on Peter Goes Rogue, so if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe. We're up to about 750 or thereabouts subscribers, which is great in quite a short time, a couple of months. But I really need more. I need 1,000 plus. Please subscribe. Really appreciate it. You do cost you nothing. And we've got some interesting stuff on there. We've had the First World War, sports car driving, Spitfire flying. What more could you want? We've had a bit of everything. And we've got other things we've got planned to come in the future. We've had a museum tour. We've got some history talks on there. talks about movies and film stars and aircraft and all sorts of things. It's a very varied channel, but there's subjects that do spin off from modelling, so the chances are you'll find definitely some of that content of interest, definitely. So please support us and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, that's it from me. Quick update for you for November. I'll be back with this review of this lovely, very kind gift I got from Lord Flashheart, our friend from Blackadder. I won't give his full name. He knows who he is down in North Sydney, and he's been very kind to send me that. And I do like Hasegawa kits, actually. I've actually built Hasegawa. Yes, fortunately I built the one I wasn't that impressed with, which was the Typhoon, the car door version, I think it was. Yeah, which I didn't really enjoy that much. I thought it was a bit oversimplified. Not so much in the construction, but some of the detail. But some of these others I've looked at, you know, when you've had Hobby 2000 and other people doing them, including the Revelry boxing of the Phantom, brilliant, you know. So they're good kits, and I'm going to enjoy doing that. So that's it from me. Until I see you at Telford, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Please give us a good thumbs up. And we will be wandering around. I say, if you see me with bags of kits, it probably means that these are kits that are owned by somebody else that I'm looking for the owners for, rather than ones I've bought. But you never know. You never know. I might be enticed by one or two things. It always feels to me, I don't know what you think, but it always feels a little bit like the new releases that they really, all manufacturers this is I'm talking to. Airfix probably is the better one at this. They time it because they really focus more on Telford, but a lot of the other manufacturers they seem to be releasing things a bit too late. You know, I mean, I think ICM have obviously had a lot of serious issues. You know, let's be honest. And that they are continuing is a miracle in itself, frankly. But they've done very well because they are at least going to have this Hampden out for us to see. The sprues will be there for you to look at Telford, which is fantastic. I'll have it on review in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. But others seem to miss it, and things come through at sort of New Year, which is kind of too late. It's almost like they need to recalibrate when they are designing and releasing things to try and make things so that, you know, Telford is the perfect showcase for manufacturers to launch products. And just saying, oh yes, we've got this coming, you know, like Border with, I'm not picking on Border particularly, but Border have had this Heinkel HE111, which is coming through, it's the H6 in 35th scale. It's going to be a big kit, that, huge. And it's £135, but I don't think that sounds that excessive, because it's got to be a monster, quite frankly. So that doesn't sound too over the top price-wise. But it's taken 18 months. I know they've had some issues with getting the panelling on the wings right and all sorts. But again, they've missed a trick. It's going to come out in March, you know, which is kind of missing the boat for Christmas and everything. If they could have got that out, you know, now, a week before Telford, they would be selling. I think they'd sell out probably at Telford. I think that people would take a look at it and think, either I want that or I'll buy that as a gift for somebody, you know, So again, they've just missed it timing-wise, and it's a bit unfortunate. And they're not alone. They're not alone. You could say Qatari with the Hurricanes the same. They're talking sort of, I think, March, aren't they? Ish. Anyway, just a few thoughts now. Hope to see you all at Telford. In the meantime, stay well, stay safe. Make sure you wrap up well, because it's going to be a bit chilly, I think. We've got quite poor weather at the moment. You might hear it rocking my garage door a little bit here. Windy and wet. We've had it very miserable and gloomy for a few days. I am told though that the weekend is going to be better, so actually I think we're going to have slightly improved conditions for Telford. Not saying it's going to be blue skies and sunshine, but I think it won't be quite as grim. So I hope to see lots of you there. Until then, thanks a lot for watching, appreciate your time, and see you all walking down the aisles looking at all the models and the goodies. My wife said, you're not to buy any more kits. For God's sake, I can hardly move upstairs. It's blocking up the landing, you know. I'm saying, yes dear, yes dear. Well, some of these I've got to give to people who have bought them in the auction, you know. It'll be fine. So if you think about it, I'll create some space by doing that. So there is room. Anyway, thanks a lot. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Hope to see you on Saturday or Sunday. And until then, bye for now.